a background study of the book of Hebrews, you notice why Paul was saying this. Now, the book of Hebrews was written to a church in Rome, and the church in Rome was the same church that Paul wrote the book of Romans to. And you know, many scholars don't agree that Paul wrote the book of Hebrews, but for me, with my personal studies, I like to say Paul wrote it. Why? Because the only person that associated with Timothy in the whole of the New Testament, from what we read, it is who? Paul. And if you notice, the writer of Hebrews wrote a lot with terminologies that has to do with the sea, sailing, anchor, and the rest. And you notice that Paul traveled a lot through the sea. And you know, as time goes on, we begin to grow, and our speech and our experiences begin to enter the way we speak. So the book of Hebrews was written to the Jewish church in Rome that they had issues. Because why? As at that time, Christianity was illegal, but Judaism was still was a legal religion. So they were forcing the Jewish people that were Christians to come back to Judaism. So as at the time Paul wrote this letter, they were being put in jail, they were being beaten, their goods were being seized, but nobody had died yet. So most of them were now renouncing Christianity and running back into what? Into Judaism. Paul had to now write the book of Hebrews. So that Paul began to teach them and show them the difference between the law and what? And grace. That's why if you notice in Hebrews 1, Paul began, because one of the basic criteria of the Jewish tradition is that it was brought by angels. So Paul began to put side by side Christ and the angels, and began to show the superiority of what? Christ and the what? And the angels. He went further to the patriarchs, and now began to show that Christ is what? Bigger and better than the what? The patriarchs. He now went further to Moses, to the tabernacle, to Aaron, showing them that what they have received is much more better than what? Than the law. So before Paul wrote Hebrews 6, it was that Paul began to go progressively, and I'm going to say to them that now we ought to become perfect, or they ought to become perfect and become teachers. But now they still need someone to come and what? Encourage them or teach them. So Paul began to list, and Paul listed the foundation of the Christian faith. Is what we're reading there. So let's read it again.
Want to hear the full message? Get the full message on the Prophet Daniel audio library on Telegram.